Namaskar, Suswagatam. My name is Dr. Amrita Sarkar. I am a faculty in the Department of Ancient Indian History, Culture and Archaeology of Deccan College, Postgraduate and Research Institute. And today, I will be mastering this ceremony. I feel very happy and honored to welcome all the faculties, students, alumni, and our distinguished guests to the 199th Foundation Day of Deccan College and stepping to the Bicentenary year. Deccan College is the third oldest educational institute in India. Initially named as Hindu College, it was founded on 6th October 1821 by the then Bombay Presidency under the leadership of Governor Mount Stuart Elphinstone. This was done by using the Dakshina Fund, which was started by Khanderao Dabhare, a Maratha Sardar, and continued by the Peshwas for propagating Sanskrit studies. This is indeed a moment, a historic moment for all of us who have been part of this institute or at present are part of this institute to witness this day. This institute has distinguished itself as a preeminent institution in the service of education, research and thought leadership. It is for the sheer hard work, devotion to quality, dedication of our teachers and staff, and vision of our management, which is responsible for this notable achievement. This has been an unprecedented year. Because of the coronavirus pandemic situation, we could not celebrate it in the traditional format. But we did not want to lose the moment. Hence, we decided to celebrate it virtually. So I thank all of you once again who are joining us in this celebration via Google Meet, and many more who are seeing us live, who are joining us live in our Facebook page. We would like to start today's program by the auspicious lighting of the lamp, followed by the Saraswati Vandana. I now request our team to do the auspicious lighting of the lamp. Now, I would like to request our student Swayam Dipta, who is joining us from Kolkata, to please render the Saraswati Vandana.
जय जय हे भगवती सुर भारती तव चरणों प्रणाम जय जय हे भगवती सुर भारती तव चरणों प्रणाम नाद ब्रह्ममयी जय भागेश्वरी नाद ब्रह्ममयी जय भागेश्वरी शरणं ते गच्छामि जय जय हे भगवती सुरभारती तव शिशरण्या त्रिभुवन धन्या सुरमुनि वंदित चरण्या सुरमुनि वंदित चरण्या नवरस मधुरा कविता मुखरा स्मित रुचि रुचिरा भरना जय जय हे भगवती सुर भारती आशिना भव मानस हसे कुंड तुहिना शशि धवले हर चरता कुरु बुद्धि विकासम हर चरता कुरु बुद्धि विकासम स्थित पंकज तनु विमले ललिता कलामय ज्ञान विभामय वीणा पुस्तक धारिणी वीणा पुस्तक धारिणी मातरात्यां नो तव पद कमले आयु जय जय हे भगवती सुर भारती तव चरणों प्रणाम जय जय हे भगवती.
Thank you, Swamdipta. That was beautiful. An academic institute like ours is much more than the bricks and mortars with which it is built. An institute is its people. From the humblest to the highest functionary and the generation of teachers and students who make it into a thriving institution. This institution has produced a number of students who rose to a position of excellence in various walks of life. To name a few, Sir Ramkrishna Gopal Bhandarkar, the celebrated Indologist, Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak, the nationalist leader, Gurudev Ramchandra Dattatreya Ranade, the eminent philosopher, Gopal Ganesh Agarkar, the great social reformer, Vishwanath Kashinath Rajwari, the famous historian, Dr. Dwarkanath Kotnis, the famous Indian medical practitioner who rendered yeoman service in China. The nature and role of education and research has significantly changed over the century. Education and research now finds itself at an exciting time as the Ministry of Education is all set to initiate the national education policy with a new and forward-looking vision for India's higher education system. And Deccan College is poised to make major contribution moving forward. With this note, I now invite our Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Professor Prasad Joshi sir, to please give the welcome address.
Namaskar. I feel today extremely privileged and indeed very happy to welcome our chief guest today, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, Vice-Chairman of the University Grants Commission, Honorable Chancellor of this deemed university, Dr. A.P. Jamkhedkar is also with us today. While welcoming him, I also request him to kindly grace this occasion by presiding over this program. Today, former Director and Vice Chancellors Professor K. Padaya, Professor Vasanta Shinde and many other dignitaries are present here. I extend cordial welcome to all of you, my colleagues, students, stakeholders and all the well-wishers who are witnessing this program from corners of the world. Once again, I welcome all of you. Today, my heart is indeed filled with great joy and happiness. The reason is that no sooner the news appeared in the media, I started receiving hundreds of messages and emails of best wishes extended by all of you to this institute. These all wishes, messages, they speak of your affection towards this great prestigious institute, Deccan College. Friends, the beginning of Deccan College is traced back to the Pathshala system in the reign of Peshwas. Everybody knows the glorious history of this institute. This institute has experienced several incarnations in last 2 centuries, but every incarnation was very important and it was meant for certain function. When in those early days 1821 the Deccan College was founded, it was a Pathshala, but the function of that Pathshala or that college was to blend the traditional knowledge system or the traditional teaching learning system with the modern ways of the world, and that was the great function. And when we experienced the change from the traditional system to the new educational system, probably in the 5th and the 6th decade of that century, it became new college, Pune Sanskrit College, and subsequently it was known as Deccan College, and that time that incarnation was again very important, because that time the function of Deccan College was to impart the knowledge to the entire Deccan plateau of the country. And we know the history records tell us that from all the corners of the country, students were attracted to this great institute, and very well known professors like R.J. Bhandarkar, Kilhorn, they had their career as professor in this institute, and bright students were also there. The third incarnation of Deccan College happened in 1939, and that was also very important incarnation. For a short while, for a short period, the Deccan College was closed down by the British government, but thanks to the efforts of the past students, due to their efforts, it was the success of their efforts that Deccan College was reopened as a postgraduate and research institute, and this incarnation or reopening was very important. It was not important only for the college, but it was a tryst with the destiny of education in this country, because many things were to come ahead. The discipline of archaeology was to begin in the country. The discipline of linguistics was to begin in the country, and the credit of starting these 2 disciplines in our country goes to the stalwarts of Deccan College in those years. Professor S.M. Katre, who introduced linguistics in this institute, actually he organized many summer and winter programs to teach modern linguistics here, and the students benefited from those courses, actually spread this discipline all over the country. Same thing, this same pioneering role was played by Professor Sankalia for archaeology in this country. Actually, in last many years, past years, when it was reopened as postgraduate and research institute, the Deccan College played really a pioneering role, and it will take much more time to narrate the past and contribution of the Deccan College. But if I am to put the contribution of Deccan College in nutshell, in very brief words, it can only be said that there is no historical site of any cultural period on the map of India, or probably South Asia one may say, where the archaeologist of Deccan College has not reached. There is no linguistic family on the linguistic map of India which is not studied by the linguist of the Deccan College, and no exaggeration, but there is no Sanskrit text right from Rigveda to the 19th century which is unread in the campus of Deccan College by Shastris and Pandits of that period, who prepared the foundation of Sanskrit dictionary. So, we have lot of material evidence and also literary evidence to build the cultural past of our country, to bring to the common people the cultural heritage of our country, and this is the unique contribution of Deccan College, which is acclaimed by the scholarly community of the world. Friends, the past of Deccan College is really glorious and the present is full of challenges. We are facing some challenges. Faculty positions, staff positions are lying vacant, we are short of hands, we are fully dependent on the government fundings. So, these are certain challenges and shortcomings we are facing, but we have to overcome those challenges also and look into the future. The future is really opening many opportunities to this institute. Particular reference may be made to the new educational policy being adopted by the government, and this policy is encouraging the studies of Indian languages. Emphasis is put on linguistic study, cultural study, heritage study, and I am sure that I am confident and also I assure that this institute, Deccan College, will try best in implementation of this new educational policy. Now, let me tell you something about the bicentenary plans of our institute. Actually, what is the purpose of celebrating bicentenary? This question may be asked, why are we celebrating this bicentenary year? The reason is that past is going to give us motivation, encouragement, and that is why we look into the past. Just like a lion who wants to fix his strides ahead once looks back. In the same way, if we look back into the history of our institute, surely we are going to derive motivation, inspiration, encouragement to go ahead and fix our direction of our work. This year we are planning agog of activities, research activities. Firstly, to promote the research culture here and bring to the scholars, new generations of students, the importance of three main disciplines of this college. We are planning to have monthly lecture series, and stalwart scholars will deliver their lectures in this series, and every month we will have one particular lecture, guest lecture. This is being planned. Secondly, to spread to the people, to spread to the scholarly community, the Deccan College is planning to hold certain short term courses. Presently we have only postgraduate courses, MPhil, MA PhD programs, but there is lot of curiosity among the people for these subjects, and to address that dire need, we are planning short term online courses in these three disciplines of archaeology, linguistics and Sanskrit, lexicography also. The courses will be of 10 to 15 lectures, and the purpose of these lectures, these certificate courses is to spread to the people. Thirdly, very importantly, Deccan College is known primarily as a research institute, and promote this culture, we are planning to publish a monograph series. Our students, faculty members, retired faculty also, and some eminent scholars in this field will contribute their monographs to this series. Each monograph is going to be embodiment of the quality research being carried out by the scholars. Apart from this, there will be small seminars, conferences and other activities also, but primarily we want to focus on these thrust areas. We have certain resources like the Archaeological Museum, Maratha History Museum, Sanskrit Scriptorium, labs are there. We want to renovate them and transfer them into digital media so that it will be available and preserved. That is also before us. So, certain plans are there. This is very brief plan of celebrating the bicentenary. So, while I conclude, once again I welcome all of you that you are participating in celebrating this historic event. I welcome and also thank our chief guest, Honorable Chancellor Dr. A.P.S. Ambedkar, and all of you. If I do not remember the contributors or stalwarts who shaped this organization, I will be failing in my duties. So, I pay homage to all our predecessors, Professor S.M. Katre, Professor Iravati Karve, Professor Sankalia, and many others, great scholars, teachers, devoted students who actually are behind the development of this institute. Their contribution may be overt or covert, but remembering the contribution of all the predecessors and welcoming all of you, I deem it now important to stop here while honoring the limits of time. Thank you, all of you. This is over to you, Dr. Amruta now.
Thank you, Professor Joshi. Now, we would like to present something very special, something which has been composed especially to commemorate our stepping to the bicentenary celebration. A Vidyapit Prashasti, yes, a college anthem that will take you to the journey of Deccan College. I now request my team to present the Vidyapit Prashasti.
आङ्ग्लकालिकं तत्तु आङ्ग्लकालिकं दक्षिणप्रान्तमध्यस्थम् अभिक्रमेण वैदिकाय हि शाला आरब्धा संस्कृतभाषार्थं वेदाभ्यासार्थं तिलकरानडे महोदये संस्था भूषिता परिक्रमा रम्या अतिरुद्या बोधिका डेक्कन कॉलेज विद्यापीठ प्रशस्ति रेखिता परिक्रमा रम्या अतिरुद्या बोधिका तेन स्थापितो हि विभागोऽयं विश्वमालास्पदम् इरावती कर्वे सुज्ञा तथा गोखले शोभना इति मान्यवरा संशोधका ज्ञानतपोधना अहो प्राचीन भारत इतिहास संशोधने सर्वे कार्यरता सन्ति भूमि वेदशिलालेखे अमृत घाटले दूरी नहीं संकल्पीते पल्लवीते स्वप्न बीजे दूरी नहीं संकल्पीते पल्लवीते स्वप्न बीजे भाषा शास्त्र संस्कृत कोशे अध्यापन संशोधने भाषा शास्त्र संस्कृत कोशे अध्यापन संशोधने ध्वनि प्रयोगाय शाला कोटि शब्द संहिता ध्वनि प्रयोगाय शाला कोटि शब्द संहिता विद्याशैते प्रकल्पाः कृतनामानुसारभूता विविधाश्चैते प्रकल्पाः कृतनामानुसारभूता द्वयोरेव हि अक्षर सम्पदवाणी वर्धनपरा द्वयोरेव हि अक्षर सम्पदवाणी वर्धनपरा परिक्रमा रम्या अतिरुद्या बोधिका डेक्कन कॉलेज विद्यापीठ प्रशस्ति रेखिता डेक्कन कॉलेज विद्यापीठ प्रशस्ति रेखिता परिक्रमा रम्या अतिरुद्या बोधिका ग्रंथालय वसुधा सारस्वतमाना विभिन्न विद्याश्रेणी प्रमुख पुस्तकिता मराठा इतिहास पश्चिम भाषा इतिहास संशोधन अमेरिकी संस्था एतैः सर्वैरेषा भूरतिमण्डिता तत्परिनिसर्गेण गान्धाररम्या तरुवल्ली प्रभया सदैव हरिततया विहङ्गप्राणीकीट अधिवासरुचिरा एवं तव राधा वर्णनपारमिता अस्मद्भावाञ्जलि गिर्वाणवाण्या अस्मद्भावाञ्जलि गिर्वाणवाण्या अस्मद्भावाञ्जलि गिर्वाणवाण्या धन्यास्मो हि लेखनसंस्थे त्वत्पदीकृतवन्दना धन्यास्मो हि लेखनसंस्थे त्वत्पदीकृतवन्दना परिक्रमा रम्या अतिरुद्या बोधिका डेक्कन कॉलेज विद्यापीठ प्रशस्ति रेखिता डेक्कन कॉलेज विद्यापीठ प्रशस्ति रेखिता परिक्रमा रम्या अतिरुद्या बोधिका परिक्रमा रम्या अतिरुद्या बोधिका परिक्रमा रम्या अतिरुद्या बोधिका
Ladies and gentlemen, that was the journey of Deccan College. Now, I invite my colleague, Dr. Abhijit Dandekar, to please introduce our dignitaries.
Thank you, Dr. Amrita. It gives me great pleasure and I consider it to be my honor to introduce today's chief guest, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, to everybody. But before I do that, I think it is my duty to introduce the chairman of this function and the benefactor of this function, Professor A.P. Zamkhedkar and Professor G.B. Deglurkar, to everybody. I know everybody in the academic circles knows both of them very well, but it is for the benefit of the students that I am introducing these two dignitaries to them. Professor A.P. Zamkhedkar is an alumnus of Deccan College. He did his PhD under the guidance of Professor S.B. Dev, the then director of the institute, on the cultural history of Vasudev Himdi. Subsequent to that, he worked as a lecturer of Prakrit, and then he joined the department of rather the Directorate of Archaeology and Museums, Government of Maharashtra, and he was the longest serving director of the state directorate. He is, I can say, one of the last Mohicans who is well versed in both text as well as tenets of field archaeology. So, he is a rare breed who can amalgamate both textual evidence as well as archaeological evidence very succinctly to build a holistic picture of the past. Dr. G.B. Deglurkar is also an alumnus of Deccan College, both of them, Dr. Ambedkar as well as Dr. Deglurkar, are one can say Guru Bandhus. He worked on the cultural history of Maharashtra under the guidance and supervision of Professor S.B. Dev. Professor Deglurkar comes from a very illustrious family of the Warkari Sampradaya of Dhunda Maharaj Deglurkar and Banda Maharaj Deglurkar. So, he has that heritage with him, and that is reflected in all his works, be it on Vitthal, be it on Bimba Brahma, be it on Vastu Brahma, and many other theories that he has proposed and proved to be right. So, sir, we are really thankful to you that you are present for this august function. Now, coming to the introduction of our chief guest, I can say that there couldn't be a more befitting chief guest for this function than Professor Bhushan Patwardhan. He finished his master's degree in biochemistry from the Postgraduate School for Biological Studies, Pune University. Subsequent to his master's degree in 1985, he finished his PhD in biochemistry titled Chemical and Biological Studies on Semicarpus anacardium, that is BIBBA for us lay people, under the supervision of Professor Samuel David from the Hafkin Institute, Mumbai, and Department of Botany, University of Pune. He worked for some years as a postdoctoral fellow, and then in 1994 he joined the Interdisciplinary School of Health Sciences as associate professor. He eventually became the director of the Center for Complementary and Integrative Health Interdisciplinary School of Health Sciences, Savitribai Phule, Pune University. He has over 30 years of experience in higher education, its administration, its teaching, research, innovation, and its development. So, we are really thankful to have him as the chief guest today. He is also a fellow of National Academy of Sciences and National Academy of Medical Sciences, India. He has worked as a Vice-Chancellor of the Symbiosis International deemed to be University in Pune. He was the academic head of the Manipal Education Group and was Director, Institute of Ayurvedic and Integrative Medicine, now known as Transdisciplinary University in Bengaluru. Currently, apart from being the Vice Chairman of the UGC, he also holds the additional charge of the chairmanship of the Indian Council of Social Science Research, New Delhi, and is also the member of National Board of Examination. His academic leadership includes leading and working as on several committees of Council for Scientific and Industrial Research, Department of Science and Technology, Department of Biotechnology, and Indian Council of Medical Research. He has served on the research and advisory committees of ICMR and CSIR. He has also worked on as an advisor to Regional Medical Research Center, Belgaum, National Botanical Research Institute, Lucknow. He was a visiting professor at Indian Institute of Advanced Studies, Shimla. He is also one of the top cited scientists in the area of evidence-based Ayurvedic and Ayurveda, ethnopharmacology, drug discovery and development, and integrative medicine. He has attracted substantial research funding from national and international agencies. He has authored many books and chapters with reputed publishers including Elsevier, Academic Press, Wiley, Pharma Press, etc. He has guided almost 19 students and holds 8 Indian patents, 2 US patents, and over 120 research publications with Google Scholar Edge Index 38 and over 5,566 citations. He has won many awards for his research work. He is the recipient of many orations and awards including Sir Ramnath Chopra Oration of Indian Pharmacological Society, Waldemar Hafkin Oration, Dr. C. Dwarkanath Oration, Dr. P. K. Devi Oration, KLE University Oration, Dr. P. M. Mehta Oration, Devang Mehta Award for Educational Excellence, Park Award for Industrial Excellence, to mention a few. So, So, I welcome you, sir, on my behalf and on behalf of my institute for today's function. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Dandekar. We have someone very special with us. We are very, very happy to have with us our former Chancellor, Dr. G.B. Deglurkar sir, who also happens to be one of the senior most member of our family. I request Dr. Deglurkar sir to please give us his blessings.
Respected Chancellor of the University, Dr. Jamkedkar, Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Prasad Joshi, and today's chief guest, Honorable Bhushan Patwardhan, Vice-Chairman of the University Grants Commission, colleagues, students, and guests. Today I am delighted to witness the beginning of the bicentenary today of the world-known Deccan College Research Institute. It has a long and eventful history. From a humble beginning in 1821, it has now become an institution of international repute. From a Sanskrit Pathashala, a small sapling, to a deemed university, a big Vatavruksha. The roots of this institute can be traced back to the Peshwas. Mount Stuart Elphinstone, using the Dakshina fund of the Peshwas, thought of founding an educational institute, which was made effective by his successor founding the Pune Sanskrit College in 1821. It was housed in Vishrambagh Wada area in the city. Some significant changes took place during 1851 to 52 in the life of this institute. A new college founded on the model of the Elphinstone Institute of Bombay and named as Pune College. In this year, number of students was 454. Under the principalship of Major Candy and William Wordsworth, the college made tremendous progress. With the munificent grant given by Sir Jamshedji Jijubhai on 13th October 1864, foundation stone of the present building in the Gothic style was laid, and Pune College was renamed as Deccan College, destined to become world-renowned institution. Due to various reasons and the whim of the then government, the college was closed down in 1934. Consequently, very library and records were shifted to Dharwad, and proposal was made to sell the buildings and huge land. Fortunately, because of the untiring efforts of the Old Boys Association of the Deccan College, it was revived with a High Court decree in 1939. However, during the period from 1821 to 1934, the Deccan College was fortunate to have teachers and principals who were well known in their fields. They include Major Candy, Edwin Arnold, the famous author of Light of Asia, Martin Hogg and Kilhorn, the famous Sanskrit scholars, Krishna Shastri Chiplunkar, the founder of modern Marathi prose writing, Sir R.G. Bhandarkar, the great Orientologist, who was both a student and teacher in the college. Keruna Nakshatre also was a professor who was a renowned mathematician. Let me sum up bringing the institute at a glance. It is the second oldest college in India. The institute has a large campus of 50 hectares, that is 126 acres in Erola. Fortunately, it has galaxy of illustrious directors like S.M. Katre, who graced the position for 31 years, during which period he placed the institution on the map of extremely exemplary institutions in the world. It has he who initiated the project of Sanskrit dictionary on historical principles. It has created keen interest among the Sanskrit scholars all over the world. It is a unique project bringing overwhelming impression among the scholars. Bringing the institute at a glance, it is the second oldest college in India. The institute has a large campus of 50 hectares, that is 125 acres in Eroda. Fortunately, it has a galaxy of illustrious directors like Dr. S.M. Katre, who graced the position for 31 years, during which period he placed the institution on the map of exemplary institutions in the world. It was he who initiated the project of Sanskrit dictionary on historical principles. It has created keen interest among the Sanskrit scholars all over the world. It is a unique project bringing overwhelming impression among the scholars. He was followed by Dr. H.D. Sankaria. He was father of Indian archaeology on the university level. Students from various states of India joined this institution and later on fanned out to their respective state and established department of archaeology there. Practically, these are the branches of Deccan College. The baton he handed over to his Shishya, Professor S.B. Dev. In his tenure of 7 years as director of Deccan College, he could make all-round development of the institution. May it be the strengthening the number of faculty in the various departments, or organizing well-equipped laboratories, or the addition of buildings and of museum with new galleries. His crowning achievement was getting consent of the UGC authorities to elevate Deccan College as deemed university. In brief, the directors from Dr. Katre to Professor Dev were the Arjunas to whom the development of the Deccan College was the parrot's eye. मार्गाधारे वर्तावे, विश्वावघे मोहरे लावावे, अलौकिक न होवावे लोकाप्रती. In this way, these directors have worked for the development of the institute. The Department of Linguistics was not lagging behind. The growth of archaeology, where was established Advanced Study Center. It got the UGC Center of Advanced Study, which was established in Linguistics Department in 1963. This was the first such center to be established in India. When PhD was not made as essential qualification by the University Grants Commission, the Deccan College has produced more than 260 PhD students. Obviously, these theses were of genuine research work. The story of this institute would remain incomplete if the renowned alumni are not mentioned, for because of whom the institute's fame shines everywhere, they being the rays. Vishnu Shastri Chiplankar, the author of history, Itihasacharya V.K. Rajwade, his brother Agnihotri Rajwade, Lokmanya Tilak, a versatile genius, the great freedom fighter, scholar, and a leader of India up to 1920. Gopal Ganesh Agarkar, great social reformer. S.K. Belwalkar, N.D. Nagarwala, Professor Gurudev R.D. Ranade, Mahamahopadhyay Mirashi, R.N. Dandekar, Dr. Kotnis, Barrister Appasaheb Pant, Sahitya Samrat N.C. Kelkar, K.N. Sane, and many other illustrious scholars. Recently, it is learned that Pune University is going to establish a school for the study of Maratha history. Let me bring to your notice that the Deccan College was the pioneer institute in this respect, and Principal Rawlinson, who wrote Sources of Maratha History, publication of the sources in English was the first attempt. He also wrote on Panipat, defending the role of Sadashivrao Bhau. Because of his endeavor, Peshwa Daptar was made available to the Indians for study. While Professor Shezwalkar later on continued the study of Maratha history. Friends, my main purpose to narrate the history and the efforts of the authorities to elevate the Deccan College as a premier research institute among the world archaeological, linguistics, and Sanskrit research organizations is to impress today's chief guest, Vice-Chairman of the UGC, Professor Bhushan Patwardhan, and to provoke him to kindly think of giving university status to this deemed university, overlooking the usual norms for 12B. If it comes to that, I request him to consider to give a special university status and oblige. At the same time, I appeal to the staff and students of the Deccan College to preserve and spread the glory of the Deccan College, for which much more endeavor is required. I sincerely wish them to accept this challenge. Thank you all.
Thank you, Deglukar sir. Thank you for all the time and effort that you took out to give us this blessing. Now, I would like to invite our chief guest today, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, Vice Chairman of UGC, to give his remarks.
Thank you. On the occasion of 199th Foundation Day, as the university is stepping in its bicentenary celebrations, I wish to pay my deep respects to the vision and efforts of the founders of this great institution. I also congratulate and offer best wishes to Deccan College family. I wish to specially mention its founder chancellor, Professor V.B. Deglukar, who just now gave a wonderful overview of various important steps during this journey of university. The current president, Professor A.P. Jamkhedkar, the immediate past Vice-Chancellor, Professor Vasant Shinde, and acting Vice-Chancellor, Professor Prasad Joshi, Registrar, Professor J.G. Kulkarni, deans, heads, faculty members, staff members, members of the governing board, academic council, and other bodies, and most importantly, all the students. I know that many educationists, well-wishers are also present today in large number, although this is happening virtually. I wish to specially recognize Professor Aniruddha Deshpande, Professor Nitin Karmalkar, Vice-Chancellor Pune University, R.C. Sharma, Professors Kutum Shastri, Prabal Dasgupta, K.S. Nagarjuna, Professor Sajdeva, and many others. I can't see everybody here on this small screen, but I really want to give my greetings to the entire Deccan College family on this occasion. I also recognize excellent efforts of the conqueror, Professor Amrita Sarkar, and thank you, Professor Abhijit Dandekar, for generously introducing me. All others who have participated in this organization of this historical program also deserve appreciation. I congratulate composers of the university song that has captured very well achievements in the rhythm of Sri Ganesha, our God of knowledge. I am happy to note that the legacy set by the earlier stalwarts is being continued in this university, and the university has maintained its academic and research leadership in the heritage-related subjects in the country. The Deccan College has a great legacy of scholarship, as we just heard from various speakers. over 200, now near 200 years, it's not a small period. It is the third oldest educational institute and possibly the first college of its kind, known as Hindu College, founded on the same day in 1821. My gosh, with Dakshina Fund of Maratha Sardar Khanderao Dabhade and continued patronage by Peshwas for propagating Sanskrit studies. Deccan College illustrious alumni include Sir Bhandarkar, Lokmanya Palgandhar Tila, Gurudev Ranade, Gopal Ganesh Agarkar, V.K. Rajwade, Dr. Kotnis, and many more. How many names can I take? It's such a prestigious, and I feel so happy when I look at the Deccan College, even on the screen. That this college is really India's pride. It has carried out outstanding research in ancient Indian history, culture, archaeology, linguistics, medieval and Maratha history, sociology, anthropology, and Sanskrit studies. Eminent scholars such as late Professor S.M. Patre, Sankhlia, Iravati Karve, Shezulkar, Gatate, M.M. Endale, Professor Dev, Dhawlikar, so many, how many names one can take. The university has degree, diploma, certificate courses, I know, in different departments, including ancient Indian history, culture, archaeology, linguistics, Sanskrit, and lexicography. The university is known for original research in archaeology in Asia and related scientific branches, including biological anthropology, paleontology, archaeology, archaeozoology. Many names, many people may not even know that such branches exist. They really flourish and are maintained by this great university. At the same time, while looking into all archaeological ancient specimens, the institute also has very active modern departments of chemistry as well as computer science. This is very unique. A recent excavation at Rakhigadi in Haryana under the leadership of Professor Shinde has emerged as the biggest Harappan site. This is so important landmark in our own Indian history. The Encyclopedic Sanskrit Dictionary project based on historical principles is another remarkable contribution this university has done. In recognition of these contributions, the Ministry of Human Resource Development, that time now Ministry of Education, has awarded the status of a deemed university in 1990. And currently, I'm happy to note that with NAC CGPA 3.16, the UGC has placed your university in category A. On this auspicious day of Bicentenary celebration, I wish to really give few suggestions. As Professor Deglurkar suggested, I am all for it. In fact, I remember when I joined UGC and when I met him first time with Professor Shinde and others, also with Professor Jamkhedkar, I have discussed it, that all of us should work very systematically for moving to get central university status for your university. I think Deccan College University deserves much more than this. And especially with this new education policy 2020 which has come up, which is talking about importance for first time, very, very prominent importance proudly given to Indian knowledge system. I think this university deserves much more as a model university, to emerge as a model university on Indian knowledge heritage. I think reimagining Bharatiya University should each one of you should really think of, and I am here to help you in whatever way I can. But I want to imagine a university right on this beautiful campus of Deccan College, and before somebody really eyes, I know that there are many eyes, but before they get successful, rather than going in some other projects such as starting schools or hospitals, I think you should really strengthen your university and your scholarship by bringing Chauda Vidya and Chausash Kala on this campus. I feel so bad that many of these 64 kalas have either getting extinguished or getting weakened. We may not even find a single person who is really master in some of these kalas. I'm really worried. India needs to bring not only the glory of Nalanda and Takshashila as self-pride and past glory syndrome, but we have to really demonstrate the value of it rightly doing on the campus. And I think no better campus than Deccan College exists in India. So I really wish that all the experts here, all the people, and especially the young faculty should really gear up to make this dream successful. And I know that Aniruddha ji and many others are very, very supportive for this cause. Prakash ji Javadekar, who was minister at that time, was also very enthusiastic about this idea. And I'm sure very soon, with your efforts, we can make it happen. I was happy to listen from Prasad Ji Joshi that university is planning many new initiatives, such as starting a new lecture series. I have also suggested that university should come out with a series of workshops on research methodology for humanities, because traditionally in India somehow, although humanities have remained very strong component of Indian knowledge system, gradually overemphasis of STEM, have resulted in undermining humanities. So we have to bring in humanities up front, and Deccan College should take leadership in bringing humanities research and bring that glory back. It's a big responsibility, but nobody is there in India as of now, to take this big responsibility. Then I can see Deccan College, and therefore I thought of mentioning this. I thank all of you, for being very kind to invite me. Not only I am from Pune, but I have seen Deccan College right from my school days. And as I told you, I'm really proud of this great institution, and I want to see this institution emerges out as one of the top humanities universities, not only in India, but in the world. And for that, let's work together. From whatever bit from my side is required, I'm willing to put in and work with all of you to make this dream true. On the occasion of this bicentenary celebration, let's take a place that will make this happen very soon. Namaskar and Shubhacha. Dhanyavad.
Thank you so much, Dr. Patwardhan. Since we are entering a new phase of development on our campus, I particularly find your comments very encouraging, and I believe, sir, that we can benefit a lot from your suggestions. So thank you once again. I now invite our Honorable Chancellor, Dr. A.P. Jamkhedkar, sir, to give his chairperson's remark.
Today, we have gathered here to celebrate the 199th Foundation Day of this college, which has now become a deemed university. The history of this college, right from the times of Elphinstone in 1818 up to the time when it got recognized as a deemed university in the 90s, has been already recounted. There were some new facets or some very small but important facts which are unknown, and these were brought to our notice by the previous speakers. The representative of the UGC, Dr. Bhushan Patwardhan, he gave in his speech a direction to us as to how we should further go ahead in case we want to carry the light of our predecessors who have brought the Deccan College to an exalted position. As our Vice-Chancellor was saying, there were so many reincarnations of this institute, and the last one was in the form of it getting recognized as a deemed university. I won't go into the past. I would simply refer to the transformations which came into Deccan College after 1939, when it was reopened as a postgraduate research institute recognized by the University of Mumbai, or Bombay as it was known then. When it was reopened, there were 4 great scholars, fortunately for this college, that had come forward to guide this institute, carry on research, and took it to the place where we are here today. I'll just give the example of Mrs. Katre. She was an anthropologist trained in Germany, and therefore had naturally taken up totally different types of topics instead of directly addressing the caste institution for which India is many times blamed. She took up the kinship organizations and then carried on her studies of anthropometric studies in different parts of Maharashtra, the various castes. Her conclusions were totally, in a way, amazing and at the same time encouraging to guide further research in the topic. She delivered lectures in American universities when invited under Ford Foundation scheme, and those lectures, Hindu Society and Interpretation, are very basic in the field, and they would give us a new idea as to how to approach this complex subject. It means she gave a new dimension to the research in sociology and proved in a way that the traditional way of looking at the caste system should not have severe limitations to understand the phenomenon in India. Same thing was with Professor Sankalia. When he came back from London, he was charged with an idea that, well, if there is something like a Java man, there is something like a Peking man, then where is the India man? He was not actually specialized in prehistory, but he took up the research of taking up explorations, and curiously enough, Mrs. Katre also joined in these explorations of the river valleys in Gujarat. I won't go into the details. He started in 1939 and in 1961 came up with the famous, you can say, magnum opus of his work, which is popularly known or was known amongst the students as PPIP. It is Prehistory and Proto-History of India and Pakistan. It still is a standard book after a lapse of something like 60 years. Katre was a philologist, trained philologist, basically a mathematician. But he took interest in Paninian grammar, and when he joined as the director, he gave a new direction to the department. He called it the Department of Linguistics. Comparative philology was an old-fashioned thing. And then with his summer classes, winter classes, he trained young, enthusiastic students of different languages who emerged as great pioneers in their different fields in linguistics in India for coming 50 years or something like that. I will give you only one or two examples. Professor Ghadge, who was a professor of Ardhamagadi in a college in the government service, when trained after his work, basically he was a very brilliant person. Katre had the knack to understand the acumen of such persons, and he became one of the best Indo-European linguists in the world. Same thing can be said about Professor Mehendale. His work on Prakrits still is a guiding force for students not only of linguistics but also of Sanskrit, and then also of culture and archaeology, students like myself. It is going to be useful in reconstructing how the urbanization in India happened with the help of the clues which he has given. I need not mention, Shezwalkar was the person who specialized in Maratha history, and he is famous for his contributions on historical interpretation based on geographical factors. He was one of the pioneers. These people, in short, I want to say, were pioneers in the field because they were not only dynamic in their approach, but gave completely new turns to the studies and changed the paradigms of research in different fields in India. As a result, it was no wonder Department of Linguistics was an a center of advanced studies. Department of Archaeology and Museums. Archaeology was an advanced center for those studies for a long time, and the college has retained its importance as a center for linguistic studies in spite of the diminished staff which because of certain circumstances is not available to the college. One of the most important things undertaken by Professor Katre in 1948 was the project of Dictionary of Sanskrit on historical principles. There was one dictionary which was done for the language of English. Now this is a very ambitious project which he took up and guided for more than 24 years. He was the general editor, after him Gadge and so many other luminaries you can say like Professor S.D. Joshi. Now this is a wonderful project and it will take another 50 years if the government does not give more facilities, amenities and funds at its disposal. What I expect now that well in 1980 there was a review which was taken of the work done in different fields in which Deccan College specializes. We should do so now for making it update and therefore take up a volume which can be dedicated for that. There can be other things also. In different fields now we are going from classical archaeology to new archaeology. There is something like a thing which is advanced archaeology, and the same thing is happening in different fields like Sanskrit, lexicography, linguistics, and also you can say other disciplines, connected disciplines. What I feel that as Deccan College had provided in those times facilities like the chemical laboratories which are there in the Department of Archaeology, the Deccan College should develop as a center and has got all the potential to become so. It should become a center for the heritage studies with the basic feedback like that of strength in languages like Sanskrit and Prakrit. They should have Persian, and according to me they can even go for one of the classical languages of the Europe, and it can be something like you can say Latin or Greek. Deccan College can develop studies in line of Professor Mendele's contribution, Western studies. They should take up studies not only in Persian but in Western language. So we'll find that there is a lot of scope. Archaeology can do wonders, I tell you. Recently our own Professor Shinde has made wonderful discoveries at Rakhigadi, and therefore Deccan College is still leading in so many ways the spheres wherein it specializes, academic things in which specializes. I would say that the young generation to take inspiration from all these great giants which were moving and were the moving spirit of Deccan College and further contribute to different fields in the coming years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamkhetkar sir. With that, we are almost towards the end of our program, and now I would like to invite my colleague, Dr. Sonal Kulkarni Joshi, to please give the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Amrita. Today is a day for celebration and for thanksgiving. Celebration of an important milestone in the history of our university, and thanksgiving for all those persons who have made this day possible. As an alumnus of this university myself, I feel both proud and humbled to be rendering these words of thanks. I have a number of people to thank. Let me begin with the dignitaries who have been invited today. We are fortunate to have in Dr. A.P. Zamkhedkar, the Chancellor of the Deccan College, a patient mentor. We thank you, sir, for presiding over today's inaugural program. Dr. G.P. Deglurkar, former Chancellor of the Deccan College, has been a benevolent patriarch to this institute. Sir, we are fortunate to have received your blessings today on this auspicious occasion. We have the privilege of receiving as a chief guest at today's inaugural function the Vice Chairman of an apex body of learning in this country, Dr. Patwardhan. Dr. Patwardhan, we are grateful to you for your words of wisdom and experience. I thank two former directors of this institute, Dr. K. Padaya and Dr. Vasanta Shinde, both of whom are present in this virtual gathering. I also thank Dr. Jayashri Sathe, former Vice-Chancellor, former Pro-Vice-Chancellor of the Deccan College. We also have with us the Vice-Chancellor of the Savitribai Phule Pune University, Dr. Karmarkar. We are grateful to you, sir. Dr. Kutumba Shastri, former Vice-Chancellor of the Rashtriya Sanskrit Sansthan, Padma Shri Dr. Anvita Abbi, Dr. Rajesh Sachdev, the former Director of the Central Institute of Indian Languages, Mysore. We thank you for your presence today. Esteemed members of the Board of Management and the Academic Council of the Deccan College, both past and present, we thank you for your wise counsel. Members of the Deccan College Trust, members of the Deccan College Past Students Association, colleagues from the American Institute of Indian Studies, the Western Regional Language Center of the CIIL, and the Western Wing of the Indian Council of Historical Research, we value your presence on the campus and are grateful for your presence today. A very special mention of the illustrious alumni of the Deccan College. Linguists, historians, Sanskritas, archaeologists, all very distinguished scholars in their own field, you have held the Deccan College flag high in your spheres of work and done the institute proud. A big thank you for your enthusiastic presence today. Also, a truly special thank you to the former faculty of the Deccan College for blessing us on this day. But for you, we could not have boasted of this brigade of scholars. Many, many distinguished scholars, all friends and well-wishers of the Deccan College are with us on Facebook Live. A heartfelt gratitude to each of you for joining us on this special day. We look forward to your continued support. In the past few days, local newspapers and national dailies have generously covered the plans of the Deccan College for the commemoration of the bicentenary year. I'd like to thank each of the reporters who attended the press conference last week and have indulged us so. We count on your support through the bicentenary year. The present faculty members, members of the staff and students, members of the estate office, library, academic section, the accounts office, the drawing and photography section, we thank all of you. In parting, I'd like to thank all the departed scholars, teachers, and workers of the Deccan College. We feel their benevolent presence on this momentous occasion. Teachers, political thinkers, social reformers, visionary scholars, all of whom have over the past 200 years contributed to the making of the legacy that is Deccan College today. We thank you. As the poet says, lives of great men all remind us that we can make our lives sublime and departing leave behind us footprints on the sands of time. So I thank each of you in this virtual gathering. We seek your blessings and good wishes as we resolutely walk towards the bicentenary of our beloved institute. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshi ma'am. With that, we are at the end of our program. I once again thank you all and congratulate all of you and us also who have been part of this journey of reaching this milestone, and may we continue to flourish for all times to come. Now we will finish with the national anthem.